Hello, everybody. This is Matthew Brenner. The date today is November 24th, 2016, Thursday, and happy Thanksgiving. I realize that I am still relatively an upstart here, but I was thinking about the spirit of Thanksgiving and that, it's not only is it a day to be with our families, but it's a day of giving thanks. And we're supposed to harken back to the whole narrative about the Pilgrims and the Indians working together and this and that. And I don't know. I'd love to, if time travel were only possible, I'd love to go back and actually see how that went down. Because as we all know, revisionist history tends to rear its head in this country quite a bit. And stories get embellished. Stories get made a little more PC. But I'm just going to stick with the narrative because I don't want to be unpatriotic. And speaking of patriotism, I've seen it thrust more and more into the narrative, whether, I follow some of the alternative and independent sites, and then I watch some of the mainstream media, a lot of it nauseates me, but I still check out both sides because I feel like that's what one should do. And I still feel like there is a certain amount of shaming going on. Shaming for nationalism. And they especially want you to feel guilty if you are a white American that loves your country. All right, I am a white American who loves my country. But you know what else? I have friends that are multicultural that I care about that love this country too. And I think that's great. And you know what? I want to see everybody be prosperous. I want to see everybody do well. And I want to see people be happy. I think it's possible to be proud of your country. Not necessarily some of the things that the leaders that maybe you didn't even elect did in the name of your country. I feel bad for the regimes that we've toppled where people are still suffering. I think a lot of that stuff is shameful. The drone strikes where completely innocent people were killed because maybe we had some bogus intelligence or inaccurate information. And I feel really lousy about all those things. But I want to go on the record and say that I don't have a problem with Latinos, blacks, Asians, anybody else, people that believe it's, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, none of that. And it's almost like I just feel like I'm starting to get sick and tired of this sense that, well, either you support the president-elect and you're nationalist, racist, white supremacist, or you believe that we, the mainstream media, are still the tellers of truth and that America is as we say, you don't ask any questions. I mean, other countries are going through this difficulty with being told they shouldn't be nationalists either. I mean, Germany, obviously, with the whole World War II thing still on its conscience, they've taken in all of these refugees. And instead of, you find out from journalists, not necessarily in the mainstream, instead of them being grateful to have a place to go like that they're raising hell. It's supposedly 60 Minutes sent a crew over to Germany to try to show what was going on with Angela Merkel and put a positive spin on this whole thing about taking in the refugees. And these dirtbags attacked the camera crew. I really hope that they report on that, just as kind of like a cautionary tale. Like, gee, you know, like we were even going to try to make you guys look good, and then you guys like attack our camera crew. I mean, that's what was reported. That's, you know, that, and yes, that did come from the independent media. I do believe that was what really happened. And Michael Rivero, I tend to listen to him, and he tends to make some sense to me. I don't think that he has that same cloud looming over him that somebody like Alex Jones does with the questionable connections to Stratfor, strategic forecasting, which is like one of these quasi shadow intelligence agencies. And it makes you wonder, like, he puts all this other stuff out there. Do they have some kind of a deal with him where, hey, you know, to sensationalize you, you can release a little bit more than the mainstream media will ever be allowed to talk about. We can even give you a few tips through our intelligence gathering network, and you can have some pretty cool guests on your show, because I will say I do listen when he has certain people on there, like he'll have the Steve Pachenik or Gerald Celente, and I do enjoy those guests. But I don't think that I'm not wary of some of the other personalities in the I guess it was mainly the Hillary Clinton camp that coined alt-right, or just anybody that's independent, anybody that basically doesn't work for the big six mainstream companies. You know, but I didn't do this to talk about news. I did this to talk about Americanism. And it's not to say that our excrement doesn't stink. It's not to say that America hasn't done some things. But, I mean, okay, take the Iraq War, for instance. Did you tell George Bush to declare war on Iraq and blame them for 9/11? You know, are you responsible for that? I know I'm not. I was skeptical of the whole narrative. I just watched everything unfold, and I said to myself, this probably is not going to end well. But, you know, the mainstream media and their so-called war on fake news, well, yeah, you know, oh, we have evidence that he's got these weapons of mass destruction, and yeah, who ended up having the real weapons of mass destruction? I mean, I'm not saying our guys didn't get hurt in there, or that other people, other allies of ours didn't get hurt. But, you know, at the end of the day, companies like Halliburton, their stock, went up like fivefold after the start of the Iraq war for like the next few years. You know, oh, that's what a wonderful thing to have been a Halliburton investor. I missed that one, you know. Profiteering off the blood of others. That just, it just turns my stomach. But what I wanted to say to people, the listeners that I'm trying to gather, is that whether you're white, or you're Latino, or you're black, or maybe you're like the president, you're half black, half white, you know, you're Asian, whatever. If you live here and you like this country, don't be ashamed of it. You don't have to keep that in the closet. I mean, they at that college in Massachusetts where they take the American flag down. It's like, first they put it at half-staff because they want to spark a debate. Sounds more like you want to cause trouble, let's be honest. And then they just take it away altogether. So let me get this straight. A few years ago, there was war on the Confederate flag. You know, oh, it's a vestige of the Civil War. And I can understand why the Confederate flag would offend some. And there's probably, I remember seeing an episode of the Cleveland Show where it turned out the dumbass redneck that's his friend, Lester, liked the flag because he's like, that's the Dukes of Hazzard flag. And there's probably some people down south that might even like the Confederate flag because it makes them think of the Dukes of Hazzard. Well, God bless them, you know. I just wanted to say that I think it's silly that we're going to controversialize the American flag. You know, this country should stand for something great. You should have no shame in saying, I want America to be great. Because by saying you want America to be great, are you really saying that you don't want others to prosper? Like, I want Mexico to be a crap hole, and I want the Middle East to fall apart, and I want, like, you know, Canada to have an ice age and freeze over. Like, what are you really saying? Like, why? What is it about certain elements? And notice I'm not indicting the entire left, but certain elements of the left where there's this there's this white guilt, or there's this guilt of nationalism because we don't want to just eliminate all the borders in the world and have everything be global. Well, you know what? I'm an American citizen, and if I wanted to go live in, say, Saudi Arabia or Israel, I'm not Jewish, and I'm not Arabic, so do you think that Saudi Arabia is going to say, hey, come on over? Do you think Israel is going to say, welcome? No. They're totally allowed to be nationalist, and it's fine. But for some reason, this country, yes, I know we're a land of immigrants, and it's like I don't even have a problem with people that love this country that want to come here. But I do have a problem with people that want to use us. I have a problem with people that want to crap all over our name, that want to decimate our flag, that basically they've actually done well here, but they don't appreciate it. They haven't lived in like a third world country. I mean, I haven't, and I will say I'm grateful that I haven't. So I'm not going to claim to have knowledge of that. I did have the friend that I spoke of that was Muslim. He was he was a college student that was living around here. He's since moved on, but he was from Egypt, and he's a citizen and everything like that. And he said, after 9/11, he's like, nobody's ever looked at me the same. And he says, the sad part is like, if you really talk to me, I'm not, my parents are more devout into Islam, but I'm not some kind of radical. I don't want to hurt people. I love being in America. He's like, they brought me back to Egypt a couple of times, and it was kind of scary, he told me. He's like, I really wouldn't want to have to move back there. So, I mean, let's keep in mind that, I guess, before everybody goes off the reservation and goes cuckoo, that there are those of us out there that happen to have been born white. We didn't choose it. We don't want to whitewash, or whatever, I don't know, whatever the term is, and make everybody else white. We have our culture, and it's like, I'm happy to coexist peacefully with everybody else that's here. And my only requirement is just, if you live here, show some respect. And, to all the special snowflakes and the Soros shills or whoever that are out there, it's like, first of all, by all accounts, I hear that you have no coherent narrative besides saying things. I mean, I've scoured YouTube for videos of the protests. I don't want to see other journalists cover it. I just want to see footage. And I only found stuff about people saying these stupid things, like somehow they think that Hillary's going to approach Congress and they're going to coronate her instead of Trump. Like, they obviously have no idea how government and the Electoral College work. And whether you support it or you don't support it, I mean, that's another matter. I mean, maybe we could revisit that and pass a constitutional amendment if we don't want to do the Electoral College anymore. I'm not against that. I'm sorry. I put my phone on silent. But the thing of the matter is, then these guys start talking about, like, oh, we'd love to see some more dead cops. And it's like, you idiots, I could have respect for people that were out protesting back in the day, like would have been my parents' generation, the Vietnam War. That was something to protest about. And you had a pretty damn good narrative about why we shouldn't be doing that. Even people that were protesting, even the poor Indians that are out there trying to save their land, the fracking pipeline they're trying to build, this Thanksgiving, my heart goes out to them, because they actually have a group of veterans that's offered to go be peacekeepers and like mediators between them and the police. But they just want to protect the water rights to their land. I mean, is clean drinking water really too much to ask for in America? And I mean, geez, we're supposed to feel bad about how we've treated minorities. If we should feel bad about what we've done to anybody, it should be the natives that were here, when people started immigrating from England. Come on now. But yet this is what it is. It's a corporatocracy. You have, and I hope that liberals and conservatives can jump in together on that whole issue with the standoff there. with I believe it's in North Dakota where they want to build that pipeline. I've seen some of the footage, and it's just deplorable. These people are getting hurt, and what else can they do but protest the decimation of what they have left? Their water, and fracking has its problems. Actually, there were a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump because they knew that Hillary Clinton supported fracking. And there have been some pretty serious explosions, like farmers that are unhappy because they've had contamination, and they have no say. I mean, thanks to eminent domain, the government can come in and say, well, I'm going to give you just whatever the law says I have to, pennies on the dollar for your land. We're going to put whatever in here. And if you don't like it, that's just tough. So I guess what I'm saying is, today, if you are an American, even if you live here and you're trying to get citizenship, or if you're a citizen, whether you're black, you're white, whatever you are, just be grateful for what you have. Be grateful, if you have a family, I do, and I'm going to have Thanksgiving with them very shortly. Thanksgiving dinner takes a while to prepare. But I really had to get this off my chest because I really wanted to avoid talking sex, politics, religion, anything controversial with anybody at the Thanksgiving table today. So, Internet, you get to hear about it. But really, just take stock and think about all this silliness and this race baiting and everything else, and basically one side is trying to discredit another side. Listen, Democrats, I feel for you. I'm on an unaffiliated voter. I've never registered for a party. But Democrats, I feel for you. I feel like your Democratic Party has been decimated. You had Bernie Sanders, and hey, you know what? I mean, we could argue about socialism all day, but as far as somebody that was well-spoken and articulate and respectable as a decent human being, Bernie Sanders was your guy. And I feel like your party crapped all over you, cheated you out of that, because they knew no matter who came in, God himself could have come down and run as the DNC candidate. But Hillary Clinton still had her agenda, and she had things in the works a long time ago. I think the deal was worked out in 2008. Look, Obama's doing better than you. Drop out. You can be his Secretary of State. We all saw how well that went. And then in 8 years, you can run for president. Now people are angry that Trump is saying that he's, not going to do anything. Well, the reality is, look at her. She looks so damn sickly. By the time procedures got underway, she's probably going to succumb to this Parkinson's. It's been, just to cite my source, because, people are going to start, it's conspiracy theory. Steve Pieczenik has acknowledged that. There was a doctor online that had talked about studying her reactions with her coughing fits and fainting and this and that. And the most likely answer is Parkinson's. And it seems to be going around the intelligence community if this guy Pieczenik is saying she has Parkinson's. I think that's probably 90% likely. But whatever she's sick with, because clearly the woman is not well. She might not even live to see the inside of a jail cell. I just, But I do feel bad that Democrats were not given the real choice, because obviously they conspired against Bernie Sanders. And, Donald Trump to them is probably anathema to what they stand for, even though I don't think they realize that he really does mean well. I think if you hooked him up to a polygraph and asked the man, do you want a better America? Do you want to do well by your constituents? Do you want to improve things for as many people as possible? I'm sure he would pass. Now, is he enough of an insider? I don't know. But then people ask that question. It seems like once these people become insiders, they become tainted. Somebody gets something to blackmail them with, or what have you. But you know what? Whoever you are, wherever you are, just find a way to be grateful. Find a way to be understanding with other people. Just try to be a decent human being, black, white, brown, whatever your color, whatever your stripes, whatever your religion. It's Thanksgiving. Let's give thanks. God bless you all.